Hi there and welcome back to my Maine Coon Central channel. This is the part 2 update on Pippin's CT scan. So you might be surprised to see the big man is just here. He's definitely not in the hospital, he's definitely not at the vet's, and he's all happy as Larry. Brilliant. So what happened? Well, we drove all that way and he was meant to have a CT scan. In fact, our local vet had been quite dramatic about everything and said, definitely must have the scan. It's essential. They'll be able to tell you everything that there is. And so obviously we were really quite panicked, and then knowing how Pippin's been, yeah, we wanted to get it sorted. So off we trekked. A scan didn't happen. What actually happened was we had a super long consultation with the vet, who's also the surgeon. He's amazing. I mean, we had about an hour and a half with him, and he took an approach that I really quite liked. He basically said, I've not even looked at the x-rays of Pippin yet. What I want to do is I want to talk to you, find out exactly everything about Pippin, from how often he eats, what he eats, what his usual behaviour's like, if he likes to go outside. And he basically, Pippin's coming into the camera now. He basically just wanted to find out about Pippin, which is great. And then he wanted to watch Pippin. He wanted to give Pippin his own assessment. And you can sit back down. He wanted to give Pippin an assessment, so he was doing all sorts of manipulation of the joints, tapping his whiskers, going boom, 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 onto his cheeks and his head. He would give him a proper assessment, which impressed me quite a bit. He was very knowledgeable. And basically, he then went off after he'd made his visual assessments, and he went and looked at Pippin's x-rays that the first vet had done. Now, he did his assessments on that, and he said the x-ray he's had so far, Pippin's not exactly in the position he needed him to be, but he has made his assessment and said, firstly, Pippin has hip dysplasia in both of his hips, but it's not considered to be sorry, Pippin, what are you doing? It's not considered to be super bad, but it is something we have to keep an eye on, and it's probably helps explain why Pippin, for quite a while really, he's walked quite like gingerly around. Sometimes when he gets up, we thought he might have arthritis because, or something wrong with hips, because he kind of like stretches like an old man and kind of like does his little movements and then moves, as if he was kind of in a slight level of discomfort. So what we do know now for certain from that vet, and actually second vet, because both vets have said hip dysplasia, though the first vet, I think from the x-ray, he thought it was definitely on one side, but obviously he wanted the CT scan to find out more. Now, the bit where Pippin's been getting some pain, the surgeon found, I can't really show you on his back at the moment because he's just moved off the camera, but just on his back there is, let me get the word right, osteoarthritis. And just going to check my notes just so I can remember what it was. So the right hip is the worst, and he says that this is due to the hip dysplasia. And he says there's a little bit of osteoarthritis. I keep on calling that one the wrong word. And it's basically just a little bit of knobbly bit on the bone. Now, he's got that like across his spine, but he has it in one particular place where it's like the discs have degenerated and there's not really much compression of like a balloon effectively. It's not got any padding. So there's one bit where there's been extra bone growth around that area, almost like the cat's body's way, like a human's trying to protect itself and fix itself. Now, just had to look at my notes so I get this next one right. I am not a vet, before you think so, anything like that. I'm merely trying to kind of parrot back the information that the vet has told us. Now he has, what is it again? Ventral spondylosis. And this is on the spine, abnormal growth, which would be the growth I just spoke about with the osteoarthritis around that area. It's the body's attempt to stabilize the vertebrae. Okay, are you still with me? Okay, which I found hard to work out on the x-ray, but he's got, across his spine, it's been calcified, so there were some little white dots on the x-ray. And apparently that means that it's calcified. Now it's across the whole spine. Let me just check the thing. It's relatively common. It's when it loses water and becomes calcified, the disc degenerate. It's across the whole spine and it does lead to less mobility. Now, he didn't think it was super bad, so he just said keep watching it for the minute, and he doesn't want to do anything about it. Now we had an option for this. We could give Pippin something which blocks the growth hormone for all this extra bone growth, but it's not something he recommended at this time. Now, he said the discs are not shock absorbers at the moment, so that they could be, he's like a big baby, they could be pushing on his, let me get this one right. They could be pushing on his spinal cord, which is obviously causing an issue. He said only an MRI would help do this, at like a whopping £2,500. He said actually a CT scan wouldn't help at this point. Pippin's off again. He's going back. Nope, he's going camera shade. Okay, so let me just double check the next bit. Now, the base of the tail, the bit we were super worried about. I did just very directly say, am I going to need to have his tail removed, which we really don't want to happen because it can cause problems with the balance on a cat. However, he said absolutely not at the moment, which is fantastic news. However, he said let's wait 6 months and see if the tail starts working again. He said it can take 6 to 12 months, easily 12 months for this to happen, but let's just see what the situation is after 6 months. He doesn't have problems urinating, he doesn't have problems peeing, so the tail doesn't need to be removed at the moment. However, let me get the wording on this one. He says the tail canal is not straight. So on the x-ray, it went like that, and then the tail went up like that. So apparently it's meant to be straight, but it was chinked. So it's like, he said, his phrase, there's like a chink in the cable going down, is how he described it to me. And there could be trapped nerves at the root, maybe. But without the MRI, it's hard to know. So what he said are the options are. Option number 1, do nothing. Continue giving Pippin his pain medication. So he gets, I can't remember the technical word, meloxicam or something. I've got the box in the utility room, but I can never remember what it is. Anyway, so he gets his one pain medication once a day, and he then gets this powder medication, which we stick into like a licky licks 3 times a day, which is more like anti-inflammatory, but obviously has an effect of helping with the pain. Now, you can do that, and this is the vet's, surgeon's preferred route since we've seen Pippin improve so dramatically. And only 3 days ago now, Pippin actually jumped up onto the sofa and he hasn't been doing that. So we are seeing great improvement in him. We're not seeing him really yelping in pain, like as a constant thing. He is sleepy from the medication, but this is one of the side effects. Option B, which the vet said you can do it if you absolutely insist, but it's going to put the cat under a lot of stress, and maybe we should just hold off doing that and see how Pippin is in 4 weeks' time. And his option is to have an MRI to define what has been pinched on the nerve and how, and then there'll be an operation to fix it. Because he basically said it's something called decompression. He wants to remove whatever is pushing on the nerve and causing it, because he believes that it's obviously some sort of nerve pain rather than a bone issue in terms of the pain around the back end. Now, he said as a surgeon, he would be slow to give surgery. And what he means by that is he doesn't want to rush and jump into surgery on a cat, especially a 9-year-old cat, because obviously he's not super young anymore for a Maine Coon. Their average lifespan is 12 to 15 years. So obviously he has got a lot of years potentially still left in him. And yes, he could age far older than that, because there have been some record-breaking Maine Coons. But because he doesn't feel, this is the important part, because he doesn't feel it's significant enough at the moment, he doesn't want to put Pippin through that. So we have agreed to go with option A. We're going to continue with the pain medication, the anti-inflammatories, and we have an appointment scheduled to see the surgeon again in 4 weeks' time. And then I'll be able to give you an update about then. But hopefully, as we've seen, Pippin has dramatically improved over the last couple of weeks. He doesn't seem in extreme pain anymore, and he's so much happier in himself, and he's back with us mostly. So he used to spend all his time with us before, and then he sort of pulled away a bit, but that was because he was in pain. Anyway, it's turned out to be a bit more of a longer update, so really sorry about that. But why not check out my website for more information about the breed? It's www.mainecoonscentral.com.